for accepting our invitation in so short notice. We have a big audience of mostly of young people, very creative and very passionate. I feel old. I don't know about you, and they have tons of questions for you. So, what if you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a lot about work about global goals.
Okay, so thank you very much, man. I just want to say thank you very much for inviting me again. It's a great pleasure to join you and to support you, and I'm really happy to see the work that you're doing over there. Over the last 2 years, we have done about 300 plus hours of lectures and workshops, all the way doing.
Just a minute. Yeah. We have a just a minute to hook up to the audio system.
No problem.
Just a minute. I'm gonna send you the link.
Do we need a new link?
No. It's for the other. We have a different computer that other computer, and it has a the cable to the audio system because it's too short. Yeah. ما عندي حتى بيرسونيل خبيه كلهم دي بروجي دي ديسكسيون غيرلاب موبيلو ورايي ان كنت اليوم بعثوا لي على المسجله بعثوا لي اوكي just a minute هو احط خاطر الكابل نتاع الصون غادي. We are almost done. Okay. It's working now. Okay, there is a little delay.
I can hear you perfectly.
Yeah. We are almost done. It's working now. Okay, I have another. Okay. Hold on, please. مالك انا كونت منهم. Okay.
I don't need to see you guys. I can see you on the. If I need to, I can see you on the YouTube, and then I could perhaps talk through the other one.
It's okay. It's okay. We find a way. Don't worry. Those we are blessed with those young people with full of ideas. So yeah. Okay, almost done. Autorisé.
Webcam.
حتى webcam off. Okay. It's working now. Okay. خاطر نحكي Now I think it's working now. So can you hear me now, Stephen?
I hear you perfect. Can you hear
me?
Can you
hear me now?
Yes. Can you hear me? Hello.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. Can you hear تحت الصوت كده. Okay, test 1 2 3. Is it working now?
Working from my side.
Okay, from the side, but from the other side, it's not.
From where?
حط اسمعني. Okay. طبعا تصوني قد سبعة طبعا. Okay, can you see? Can you? Okay, switch now. Go ahead, Stephen. It's working now with a little echo, but it's okay.
Okay, is everyone there?
Yes.
Good stuff. Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone.
Salut tout le monde. Comment ça va? Alan. Okay. All here?
Yes, it's working there.
They're there? Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, great. So, thank you, Ben. Thank you for the invitation, and thank you for organizing this. I hope everyone there is having a great time and is learning a lot. How many were in last year's summit?
Yeah, I'm gonna mute just for a minute, my microphone, and then I'm gonna unmute it later. A minute, okay? That's
okay. Great. So how many people were at last year's summit? Just a little test to see if you can hear, because I can't hear you. It's completely, it's deaf here. So how many were at last year's summit? Any hands? Nobody. Matthew Person? Yes? Hello. Nice to see you all again. Oops. Thank you, Ben, for shaking that around. Okay, so since last year, I have been through London, I've been through Geneva, and I've been back in Dubai, and we've also been to Greece earlier on in the summer, and we've been discussing a whole variety of issues. Ooh, I might have. I'm shaking here with the screen that you're moving there, Ben. It's making me a little. Ooh, falling off the screen. Okay, are we still? What's happening? There we go. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much, Ben, for putting it down. Oh, I'm feeling a bit queasy from that. So, as I said, we've gone all across Europe and into the Middle East in the last 12 months, and we've just finished a program in London where we looked at how the forthcoming Brexit of the UK and the EU would be affected by the global goals. Can you hear? Am I okay? Hello, Malik.
yeah, it's okay.
Okay. And as a thank you, I'm going to just turn off the screen and pretend that I can't see. Oh, this is disrupting. So thank you again. Thank you very much. So over the last 12 months, there's a lot happened. We've seen in March the finalization of the indicators, the SDG indicators. And these are very important because this is how the progress towards Agenda 2030 to achieving these global goals will be measured. And this is being agreed by all countries and is now in play, and it's being used to create national, voluntary national reports, VNRs. Now, these VNRs are very exciting. It's the latest that's been going on. And what these reports do is each country presents its performance, how well it is progressing towards the global goals on a domestic level and on an international level. We've had 23 countries present reports last year, 40 have presented this year, and that makes about a quarter of the whole population covered by one of these SDG reports. Next year, there'll be another 40, which brings it up to more than half. And out of those, you'll have Morocco, Egypt, the Gulf states, Saudi, UAE, Bahrain, Qatar. In the Levant, you've had Jordan. So there's a huge gathering of knowledge of what each country is doing to support these goals. Now, over the summer, I had a couple of workshops where we looked at the French, German, European Union, and the UK reports, and we were looking at weaknesses in those reports. And some of those weaknesses have now been fed through other civil society organizations back to the UN so that the next reports can be even better and can be stronger. Tunisia hasn't yet made a report. It's not scheduled at this moment to make one next year, but it is very likely that it will produce a report before 2019, because in 2019, the heads of state of all the countries will be gathering to review the progress towards the global goals. And it makes sense that every country will have submitted some documentation in that regards. And so it is likely that in the next 12 to 18 months, I've predicted it in the UK, and it's the same prediction for Tunisia, I imagine, that you will see an increasing amount of work from the government on the global goals, looking for initiatives, investing in initiatives, and looking to make some progress, which can be reported on a global level. That's why I think these VNRs are exciting and are important for the people out there, is because your country is now going to be looking for projects like the Social Goods Summit in Tunisia as evidence of work that has been done towards this agenda. That's the exciting thing that I'm working on for this summer, and that's what we're going to be looking at over the next 12 to 18 months. Ben, that's my introduction talk. Is there something there that you want to ask me a couple of questions on?
Do you have any question? Okay, first of all, did you follow? Okay, so we're talking about camps and supports and how the Social Goods Summit is bringing giving the government an idea of how things should be in the future. So, do you have any question for Mr. Stephen King? Go ahead. Who is presenting the documentation of the process for each country?
Okay, so every year around July, there is a high-level political forum that takes place in New York. And here, the representations of the Ministries of Foreign Affairs have been meeting for the last 2 years to present and discuss the progress. So it's been maybe the Minister of Foreign Affairs or one of his team or her team. This is going to happen again next year. And then in 2019, it is supposed to be the heads of state who are going to come together. So for there's every 4 years, there's a very senior level gathering, but in the run-up, there's a progress where it's done in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs level.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, great, thank you. Thank you, Stephen. Okay, do you have any question? Yeah, yes. he asked about the performance of Tunisia through the global goals.
Yeah. So even though Tunisia itself has not presented a report, there are civil society organizations who are monitoring the information that is out there. Because these indicators have now been published, and many of them are based on existing data that's collected somewhere, these civil society organizations are able to put together a performance matrix. Tunisia is currently ranked 61st in the world, according to what I consider to be probably one of the best reports. It's an organization called the SDG Index and Dashboards. SDG Index and Dashboards. And last year, in the first year that it was reported, Tunisia was ranked 51. This year it's at 61. Now, Tunisia has some very strong goals according to this report, where it's meeting, and the strongest is poverty, clean and renewable energy according to this, water and sanitation, education, and health and well-being. There's also strong on climate action and on responsible production and consumption. So that's goals 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 12, and 13. The weaker goals are in life underwater, goals 14, hunger, gender equality, and innovation and infrastructure. Does that make sense?
Does it make sense? Global 5. Global 5, he said that you are weak in global 5, in number 5.
It's weaker. The stronger. There is a chart. I'll send you the link to it, Abdul Karim. And how, okay. And basically this organization ranks very, very hard. So for example, if there are 12 targets and you're achieving 10 of them, it still won't give you a full mark. It will rank you down because of those 2. So it's possible that gender equality is lower there because of there being more targets there, and therefore more harder to reach, versus climate action, which has only got 5 targets, and therefore it's perhaps easier to address. So you have to look at this report in the way that it's produced. That is why it is essential for countries to produce their own reports, so that a proper picture can be given and more context taken into account.
Okay. Do you want? Yeah. Yes. Huh? He's gonna send the chart. I think. Are you hearing us from the phone? I think you can hear us.
I hear it very faintly. It is helpful when you repeat it, Benya.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. Okay. So another question. So he said that we don't have real index because the report is done by a third party, and it's not really. I think it's not really relevant because I myself have been following the global goals since the very beginning, and global number 5. I think it should be our strength. Do you agree or not? We have right now equity about women and men, and lately there is a new law for heritage that's going to be the first one in the Arab world. So men and women are going to have the same shares inheritance. So this is going to be the first Arabic country to do so, which is huge.
That's fantastic. Look, I'm going to show you the report that's here. Can you see it?
Yes.
So this is the report that comes out. Now, this organization is partially based in the US and partially based in Germany. It has a very, very senior ranking team. And the first report that came out had a foreword from Ban Ki-moon, the former Secretary General. It's also got some very senior figures as part of the leadership team. So if I go down here, you see these. I hope the colors come out. It shows you where things are going right or where things are going wrong.
Yes.
Yeah. And so and then it breaks it down, and then it shows you these indicators which I was talking about, and then it flags up. So if we go to social goal 5, participation rates, male, female in the workforce. I don't know whether that's right or not.
It's totally 4, I think. Yeah, totally 4. Because the numbers we have is that we have total equity in the labor force. But yeah, I agree that in some fields there are more men than women. Like public hygiene, like industrial area that's totally monopolized by men. Yeah. So
it's very important, therefore, for Tunisia to publish its own, in order that the correct picture can be found, because these organizations will be using desk research or ILO figures, International Labour Organization figures, or figures provided to them by some other NGO.
Yes. Okay, this report has been done by a third-party NGO, let's say. That's why it's.
Yeah.
But it's true. The indicators are true. When I say, because in Tunisia you can't find a woman working as somehow زبال بلوغي. زبال. Huh? You don't find any dust women in Tunisia. You can't find. It's a very, very rare. It's not you don't find any women working in the industrial strong industrial fields. I'm working for the oil and gas. I'm working for the oil and gas industry. I'm going to tell you something. In the company, like we have 800 workers in the desert, in the Sahara working. There is no woman working in the field. Why? Because lot of question. Because it starts with education. Because women don't go to the those kind of areas, and then when they get employed by the company, they prefer to stick with office work. No, I'm not. I'm not judging.
No, it's okay. I just want to add something.
Yes.
When you apply as a woman with a diploma, those kinds of
works.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially in the Sahara, they don't even accept you. I know, because I know person, women who wanted to work there, okay, but they don't accept you. There are women.
We have women that go work there from time to time.
Maybe.
And most of them, they prefer to stick into office. This is
my maybe it's not a false information, but I know even in the application form, in the job interview,
yes,
they don't really prepare women to go there.
So unfortunately, it has to change. It has to change someday. So. Yeah, this young man said that we have, very notable progress, in the global goals. So, so things gonna be much better in the future.
Good.
So, any question for Stephen? Any questions? Does anyone have any question? Stephen.
Yeah, if not, then someone had asked before, what's the most important goal?
Okay.
And so there's a study which, using these same indicators, we're able to, they rank, could you put that on mute? It's Malik too.
Have a small, issue with the.
Okay. Hello.
No, I think that it is coming from your machine. Hold on, please. Yes. Yeah, it's okay now.
Okay. So having done an analysis on the top 10 ranked companies according to this report, the top 5, which are all Scandinavian countries, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Norway, they all have one goal which they have received a green light for, which none of the others have in the top 10 or even perhaps lower down. And that goal is goal number 10, no inequalities. Now, despite the fact that they also have common in health, in education, in gender equality, and they have common green lights in those areas as well, the one that they have and the others do not have is in 10 and no inequalities. And therefore, I'm of the opinion that if there is no inequality and that every member of society is able to contribute, then you're unlocking the entire community and you can all move forward in one go, versus only those who are empowered with the resources, with the knowledge, and with the physical ability to move forward. So I'm now at the position where I'm thinking goal 10 is one of the, if not the unlocking goals, which would make sense because the 3 pillars of the goals when they were launched were poverty, inequality, and climate change. I don't know what were the opinions of the other. I heard them start, but I didn't hear the answers. What were the opinions of the other esteemed panel?
What is the most important goal according to you? 171, because he's Stephen King says, you know, that the most important goal is number 10. Equality. And why is it important?
Because without equality, half of the community would be out of work. So once we active and the community.
Another idea about why equality is important.
Because without working and we can accept each other. If there is no equality, we can accept each other. We can survive the same place. We can work together. We can change experience. We can go. So yeah, equality is very important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, personally, I think that gender equality is the most important goal. You can actually reach your full potential. Without that, you can't actually achieve your dreams, your goals in life, and all of that with struggles in life. Like you're woman, and you can't do what all men can do because he's physically stronger or whatever. So I think gender equality is the main goal that we all have to achieve. That's all.
Okay. So okay. Well, can you restate the point?
I think that for me, as a second-year master's student in English teaching, and I work a lot on education, I think that education comes first. If we were going to, rate all the 17 sustainable development, we would rather talk about global warming and the hurricane that hit Florida last week. We will talk about also about violence, also about but you see that all of that can come first. But in trying to, I think, in my opinion, education comes first. Why? If you see the Finland educational system is the first worldwide educational system. Why? Because it promotes creativity, it promotes more about self-development. It's not just 1 + 1 = 2, and where, for example, Tunisia is, or it's not just about that. Education is more about trying to raise kids that are aware of all the problems around in the world and how to work on solving these problems. And also, I mean, if the teacher is more aware and more creative in trying, for example, try to listen to the other when someone speaks, try to respect the other, not laugh at them. It's all these. I mean, education, teaching is not just, as I said, not, for example, 1 + 1 = 2. It's more about trying to raise kids to respect each other, to try to push each other to do something better in the world, and motivate kids in trying to create something good and something positive in the world. So I think education comes first in all the 17 sustainable developments.
Okay, thank you.
For me, education is kind of a sensitive topic because it's kind of complicated to just throw away our entire educational system and just come up with a new one that's better. Because there's education that comes with the Bushel way. We just don't get not only books and schools and stuff. So for me, equality is actually the most important point, because if we have equal rights, then we have equal opportunities, and everyone can show their true potential. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, Stephen, as you did here.
Hello?
Way before now, the global number 10. So,
Did you want me to contribute again there, Ben? It's a bit echoey.
yeah, I said that the most of people here, or the audience, that I agree that education and gender equality are the most important goals among all.
Okay. Everyone has an opinion on these, and it's based on where you stand as much as what is given to you. I was at a conference in Abu Dhabi, I think it must have been earlier this year. No, it was last year, over the COP conference, COP22, which is the environmental conference. And I asked in an event like this, and I was in the audience, and I asked the panel, why aren't we talking about the environment? And the panel came back and said, right now we need food, we need water, we need jobs. We're not really looking at climate change right now. So those were the three things that came across in that conference at that point in time. So each different country has its own priorities. What I'm particularly looking at now is, as long as we remain united in achieving these goals or making progress, that for me is the most important thing. So if we take, I'm going to look at gender equality, that we need to support women and we need to support, but that should not divide men and women, so that we do not end up with a conflict on that particular issue. We should be working towards that, plus the other inequalities that are out there, so that we don't leave someone behind. The message that you get from within the goals is that leave no one behind. And in advancing, we advance together with specific focus on key areas which are required, but without creating a conflict and ignoring other areas. That's something which I'm conscious of, and I'm keeping an eye on how we can be divided and put against each other versus working together, which is what I think is the most important thing.
right?
That makes sense. Am I clear on that, or is that?
Does that make sense? Did you follow up? Did you, you know, did you understand what he was, you know, thinking about, you know, all those goals together, combined, and how the work should be done? Okay. Yes. So, so who does have a question? Application.
Hi, so I have a question about Tunisia. These days we have a great debate about gender equality in inheritance. That the president of Tunisia actually talked about it, and some people are against, and some people are with this law. And don't you think that this law that actually talks about equality can affect on you know people's opinion, or maybe the culture of that community or country?
Yeah.
I mean, some people in Tunisia, they're convinced that gender equality is important, and I personally believe in that. But like, for example, there's some religious background that we believe that we don't believe. I personally don't believe about this gender equality inheritance. Some people other maybe disagree with me. Don't you think that this law actually can impose some ideas that the people that they're not convinced, and in the United Nations in general.
Yeah, so I'm gonna translate her question very quick. She said, that some global goals are against, some culture. What do you think about that?
So the way that the goals have been defined is that each country has the sovereign right to implement as per its laws. The global goals do not assume authority over a nation's own legal or cultural structure. And so in one respect, they are recommendations, and they're recommendations that, if implemented, will have strong positive effects globally. But each country has the sovereign right to make its own path. Does that answer the question? Hello? 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 Hi, Ben, I've lost sound.
We can't hear you anymore, Stephen.
Can you hear me?
Hello?
No? Hello. Can you hear me now?
Can you hear us?
Yes. I can hear you.
Yes, yeah. It's okay. I think it's working here fine. So, yeah, mute.
Did my answer come across?
Yes, it did. It did. Yeah. Okay, I think now it's working fine. Can you hear us, through this microphone, because this one is much better, I think?
I hear you perfectly now.
Okay, excellent. Who does have a question for Stephen King? Yes.
On what she said, I want to comment on what she said.
She want to comment. Okay. Yes, please. Yeah. It's like a start a war.
No, not a war, but I'm just gonna give a quick comment. I want to say that I don't want to give a tricky opinion or start or offend anyone. But why would you assume that every Tunisian is a Muslim, and why would we ditch some important goals to just not offend anyone. It doesn't make sense. If our religion told us to kill, I don't know, I'm just giving an example, I'm not trying to offend anyone. To kill, I don't know, birds from a certain species, we want to do that.
أمان اسمع
do you understand me? We wouldn't do something not logical just to, you know, just to not, how can I say, to respect tradition. Does anybody get it? Yeah.
Okay, give her the microphone. She wants to. Yes, well, it's a word. I know that.
You know, I'm just trying to help her out here. So what I think she's trying to say is that each one of us has the right to practice their own belief. So it's not logical that the government will enforce a religion on everyone. You see, some people aren't even Muslims, so they have the right to have, you know, equal heritage or whatever it's called. Sorry. So I don't think it should be a law. I think it should be a choice. And you guys still have a choice.
Okay.
Yes.
Can I?
Let's hear what it says. You know, that Stephen thinks about that.
So what I'll say is that underneath the goals, although it says gender equality, there are some specific targets underneath gender equality which have been agreed by the governments, and that includes the Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Italy, all in India. It includes all of the major religious centers have gone through this text in a fine-tooth comb, and they have all agreed on this text. So what I would suggest to the lady who's concerned that the goals are perhaps not in with her culture is to actually go to the globalgoals.org website, check what is actually there in the text for the targets of these for gender equality, and perhaps that she will find that they are actually things that she can support and that they aren't against the culture.
Yes, exactly. So, did you hear him? Did you hear him? Yeah. Okay. He said that, you know, global goals don't go against the culture, which does, I think that doesn't, you know, line up with what you said, because they think that, you know, the global goals shouldn't be really tied up with the culture of the government, or you know, certain kind of, you know, ties, like here in Tunisia or Saudi Arabia, or they say that, you know, Tunisia is a Muslim country and it's speaking Arabic. So I think that, you know, the global goals should be more liberals if they want to succeed. They have to adapt. What do you think about the liberalism, you know, in global goals?
Is that a question, man?
I said, you know, that most people think, you know, that, you know, global goals, because they are tied up with the governments, are not really liberal, are not, you know, really fit for liberals or for a modern society.
Perhaps I don't understand the question too much. Are you saying that the goals are only for the governments and not for anybody else? Is that what you?
No, I said that people think that, you know, the global goals should be more liberals, more liberal. Yeah, because if you take the case of gender equality, it tied up, you know, in Tunisia to the in Saudi Arabia, so tied up to the religion and to the government.
I'd have to. I'm not 100% sure on what's being asked, but what I will say is that the governments have a fair amount of leeway to translate the goals into their culture and their customs, so that they can advance it at the rate that is appropriate for their communities. It's not a case of imposing Western values overnight or at all. It's a case of this is a set things that will benefit the societies, and if implemented will have a positive result. But each country has the right to move forward in its own strategy based on the conditions on the ground, the requirements that you have here and now, and various other factors that come into it, whether it's resources or what have you.
Yeah, that's that was the question. The question is that why should the global goals should be tied up with the government? So they're going to be really limited.
In the UK, we had I was on a panels discussion, and there was had a member of a political party alongside me, and we had this debate, and the government was actually saying, no, this is civil society and the private sector should own the goals, and they should be driving it forward, and it should be up to the companies and the people to make these goals happen. And my argument back to her was to say the government has to lead so that everyone knows where to follow. So to answer the question of why the goals are with the government is because the people as a whole have put this government in place. So this government is there to serve the people, and the government has looked at the figures and the statistics and of where the country is going, and it is putting forward a flag saying this is what we need to focus on for everyone, and it is providing the guidance which is no other entity is able to do, not the UN, not anyone else. The Tunisian government knows what's going on because it has all the data. This is the focus points that it has for the development of the country, and it has to put its flag out there and say, look, this is what we're working on, so that everyone else knows what they should be doing to support.
Okay, so we have to hack through the system in order to have a better global goals.
So in the largest scale impact of things, you should try and support what's to be able to have the maximum effort. You should unite behind the same issues. There's not to say you can't pursue other angles on your own if you can produce enough impact there, or if that's something that you want to passionately follow. But from my discussions in the UK and what have you, if the government says climate change, gender equality, health and welfare, the industry will follow those directions.
Yes. Did you know his answer? It makes a lot of sense. He said, that the global goals has to be orchestrated by the government, because it has the power, it has the resources, and if it does campaign about that, the industry, the big stakeholders, they're gonna follow, which really makes sense. But my comment on this, I'm gonna say, yeah, the government can behave that way, but we as a society, we have to hack through the system and impose our vision, impose things we want. So
absolutely, through the political process of each country, the governments themselves should be engaging with various stakeholders. That is one of the major criticisms of the early reports that have been made, 60 reports that have already been published. One of the criticisms is that the governments did not provide the reports to the civil society for their inputs, and that is something which government should be looking for.
Okay, we have 15 minutes left. So, does anyone have a question? A question, not a comment. Question, please.
Question, not comment. No.
We have, please. The microphone. No, because we want to hear you. He wants to hear you.
Okay. Hello, Stefan.
Oh, turn on the microphone.
Sorry. This, do you hear me? Okay, this is Amina Shaka speaking. Hi. I just have a question. Maybe it's not specifically about the goals, but it's the first time I come to this event. I was for more than 20 years in Switzerland, Actually, I went to many events in Switzerland about these subjects. And I'm just asking you, do you have best practices in communication, let's say, to bring more people to this type of summits and events, to bring more young people and professionals, and to get, let's say, involve more people in Tunisia?
Okay, so there are different organizations who are working on this. One of them is the United Nations Foundation, which Ben's involved with, and this is where this group comes from. I think you have a speaker from Girl Up, or who is there from Girl Up. She's also they're also backed by the UN Foundation. Now, the other organizations to have a look at are Global Citizen. Global Citizen have an app whereby they've gamified, they've made it a game for if you do actions which are socially good, you get tokens, and if you get enough tokens, you get invited to a concert which takes place either in New York, and there was another one at the G20 meeting earlier on in the summer. And so they engaged the youth by offering a kind of an aspirational award, but also by bringing concerts together to get people involved in the goals who perhaps wouldn't normally be interested. So that's one thing that's going on. The other thing that's going is the world's largest lesson. That is a huge campaign for educators. And if there's any teachers or want to be, or youth leaders there, you should Google the world's largest lesson or teach SDGs. There are phenomenal resources online, lesson plans, to help you promote the goals and to educate people up to the age of 16 and beyond. Some of the materials there I even use in my workshops. The third is an organization called Climate Reality. And Climate Reality is from Al Gore. He's the former vice president of the US, and it's, as it sounds, is very focused on promoting climate-friendly policies. If you go and see the movie The Inconvenient Sequel, you'll see what they do there. And they organize very large events, much bigger than what you have here, but on a similar context, where they train people and give them education on environment over 2 or 3 days, and then they send them back out into their jobs to advocate. So they have very focused training, and that's at the much older age group in the early work stage in 20s and 30s. So just to sum up, for the very early, between 2 to maybe 16, you have the world's largest lesson. Between 16 and maybe 21, look for Global Citizen. And then for older, look for organizations such as Climate Reality. Those three are really good to get involved with and are really established.
Yeah, we're gonna share all those links, later. But the most important thing to improve this kind of gatherings is to get involved. This event is an independent, non-sponsored, non-funded event that has been there for a few people. Malik here, we have Brian, he will help us. Malik is now doing a great job. And there is not a single penny or help from the UNDP, UN, or the government. It's 100% civil society driven. And it's happening because of you. And we want you guys to get more involved, because this is the main event. This is, the flagship of the whole social good event of the whole year. But there are other, actions like, global moms, global citizens. That a lot of actions that we can do, that happen. But we need more people to get involved, more people helping, because, as I say, this is totally independent. And thanks to this, ISE, Institut Arab, the Institute of Entreprise, this is happening. Because when we could go, we're going to constant, because we don't have any funds. UNDP Tunisia, it doesn't care about anything, doesn't care about those kind of events. driven by the civil society. They don't really care. They are employees working for the UN, and they want to make some events. They spend a lot of money. I have to delete this day later. It's open criticism because we have doing this for the last 3 years with any funds, and the cost of these events. Do you know how much did you spend for this event? Nothing. It's totally funded by you, the people who are, Stephen, I have people here who came across some remote, towns, especially for the event, and I want to thank them again because those people, the audience is the real sponsor of the event and nothing else. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You have a question for Stephen? Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Stephen, do you hear me?
Perfectly, thank you.
My name is Mariam. I just wanted to how to say that.
A question. Go ahead.
We talked later about which is the most important goal among all the goals, and some people say education, others say equality. And you said that you were a little bit surprised by the report. It says that Tunisia, some civil organization classified the most important goals for Tunisia, and the equality comes in the.
No, he said no. He thinks that the most important goal is number 10,
okay.
Which is equality.
So I just want to share an experience because 3 years.
We have 10 minutes left. If you have any question, please. No, don't have comments. But if you have a question for him, because we have 10 minutes left.
Okay, just I wanted to clarification about those global goals. They are normally published by the United Nations. You work in the United Nations and you participated in the redaction and the publication of those goals, and that's I just wanted to understand this because, as I know, it's each 100 years or 50 years, the United Nations republish those main goals for the whole universe, and each 15 years, I think they just modify some of them. Just I wanted some clarification and more about those goals. So, thank you.
No, it's a really good point. I was involved in the goals from externally, so I'm a communicator. So in July of 2015, the UN Foundation came to Dubai, and they worked on a program to get public relations professionals and communicators engaged with the goals in order that we would go to our clients and tell them about the goals and get the industry excited about them in advance of the launch. I was also involved in a global consultation, conference calls with the US in the run-up until the goals launch, talking about how the goals should be launched in the communications field, through the media, through events, etc., etc. I'm not employed by the UN. I'm just the same as Ben. I've been doing a lot of this activities on my own back, out of my own pocket, and I'm happy to do so. I've attended the UN DPI NGO conference in Korea a year or so ago, and that was a fantastic event where Ban Ki-moon himself was attending, and I was contributing into the declaration that came from that event, and I'm participating in other civil society consultations which are going on even now. So I'm connected to a variety of people who are involved in the process, and that's where I am now. In your so I suppose it's cynicism in a sense of why we keep relaunching these goals, from the Millennium Development Goals to the Sustainable Development Goals. I think we have to keep an eye on it, and that's why I'm looking at these voluntary national reviews. We did a workshop on July the 4th in London where we looked at the reports and we went, hang on, the text here is not good. The achievements you're reporting, we can't measure them like for like. They're using different words. So there were ways by which information was being presented, but it was being presented in a way which we felt could have been done much stronger. And so that's the process which we're going through now, is saying, hang on, you can't just report one or two things you've done for gender equality. We want to know what the strategy is, we want to know what the progress is, and in participating in that voluntary national review process, we will make sure that these goals are achieved, or that sufficient progress is made so that justifies the effort that goes into it. It's up to us as civil society organizations to keep a track on these reports, see what the progress is, and to keep asking for more information and for more clarity on strategy, direction, and on results. Otherwise, it's very likely, as you say, that 2030 will come across, and perhaps there will be another round of, well, there will almost certainly be another round of goals, because there is so much to be achieved in such a short period of time. There will be a lot of progress made, which will be fantastic, but I'm not under any illusion that we will achieve everything that's there, and there will be some there'll be some actions that will move on from 2030 onwards. But we have got to keep an eye on what has been committed to in 2015 and put enough pressure on, and to make our own efforts as much as possible to help achieve those goals. And we can't just leave it to someone else and think in 2030 it's been done. We've got to be active observers and participants where we can be. Does that answer the question, Miriam?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So Stephen King is independent. He's he's a volunteer. He's not involved with the information, but he's doing it because he believes it. And as I said, the goals are reviewed in shorter time. I think it's not 50 years. It's about less time, and so on. So, thank you, Stephen. Do you have any last question before the closing with the discussion with Stephen? Any questions? Any question? So, Stephen, my question would be, how, if those young people want to get involved in the project here, you are doing, how can they do?
If they want to get involved in the goals right now, they should check a site called Act4SDGs. So that's ACT, the number 4, SDGs. And that's an official UN campaign going on right now to promote and to all around these voluntary national review. It's going to kick off properly on September the 25th. So they can get involved in a social media campaign there and to be part of the noise. That's my recommendation if they want to get involved in that. If otherwise, they can track on LinkedIn and see the articles that I'm writing, and you'll see that I do a lot of critical writing there, and I link a lot of different sites together from what I see and observe. So if anyone wants to connect on LinkedIn, I think you've got my contacts there, Ben. And otherwise, Act4SDGs is the next big moment that's going on. That's September 25.
I'm gonna share you later in the event the links for Mr. Stephen King, LinkedIn account, so you can get in touch with him, get involved in the activities he's doing, if you want. So, any closing word, Stephen?
Keep being active. Be active, whether you're an active participant or an active observer. Be active. If you sit back, then so will everyone else. You've got to sit forward and keep active. That's it. Keep active. Hashtag keep active.
Active. Keep active. Thank you a lot, Stephen King. It's not the Stephen King that is writing books. It's the Stephen King that is is involved in global goals. So thank you again. All the audience want to thank you. Sorry. Okay. Let's see from here to here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen.
Good audience. Thank you very much. Thanks, Ben. Take care. Good luck. Take care. Bye.
And hope to see you very soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.